Hi, friends. Today we're going for a little drive for a road trip just for the day to New York. I live in southwestern Quebec and I'm about 3 kilometers or a little less than 2 miles away from the US border to New York State. And I can go grocery shopping in New York much, much closer than I can to anywhere in Quebec. And for most of the time, I can shop cheaper in New York than I can for Quebec, especially for my particular area, depending on what we need. So today we're going just for to get a few things, and we're gonna go for a nice drive, have some lunch, and you'll see how quickly we can get around and get back home. And I absolutely love driving around all this area on both sides of the border, both in Canada, Quebec, my area, and all around here in New York. It's absolutely beautiful. It's peaceful. It's quiet. It's still spring here. I'm recording this a week later. Things have really greened up, but just the same, it's so pretty to look at. I love looking at the farms, the older farms, the trees in between. I could be in the car for hours. I just love it. Sometimes I don't put music on. I don't need to listen to anything, but just be with my own thoughts and look at the beauty around me. And obviously in the fall, with all the different trees, the colors are just spectacular. So the first stop we're going to make is at the Amish store that I go to. It's in a little town called Brushton, New York. They have 4 Amish stores in the area. This is the largest. And I'm only going there today because I need to pick up a few little things, and it's kind of on the way of where we're going to end up. And this is where in the summer I go to get my bushels of pears, peaches, apples, grapes, and it's the only place I can find to get my produce in those sizes and at fantastic prices. They don't do these kinds of things in Quebec, or at least in my area of Quebec. It's very hard to find stuff like that and without paying an arm and a leg. So I'm very grateful to have found them. And they're all so, so nice here at all their locations. This is their biggest one. And it's not a huge place, but it's still very spacious. And yet they have such a huge variety of everything. I swear they have everything that almost a normal grocery store would have, but it's not that big. And for Saturday, it wasn't that busy at all, which I like. I don't like crowds, so it worked out really well. And this is my favorite aisle. All the dry goods, excuse me, the baking goods, all the cooking. Oh my gosh, it just goes on forever. And I hardly needed in anything. That was so sad. It's just so pretty. I apologize for my filming. My walking wasn't too good today, so you can The camera's moving a lot. I'm so sorry. But just look at the variety and the diversity of so many things. This is another road that's mainly like canned goods and a bit more of dry goods, but not like for baking and that. In this row in particular, they had a lot of their own brand name stuff as well, and some items that you can buy in bigger quantities. I think these were a lot of nuts and things like that. And this is the candy aisle. Believe it or not, I don't eat candy. Goes on forever. Don't enjoy candy at all, but I do enjoy chocolate. And there it all is. And I didn't buy one thing. Still nice to look at. And in case you think I'm stalking that man in black in every aisle, it's my husband. So this is the main strip now going into Malone, like all the newer part of Malone, where they have like Aldi, Walmart, Tractor Supply. They have all the fast food restaurants and car dealerships, things like that. And it's all pretty new. And you'll see in a moment the older part of Malone that's been there for, I think it's 200 or 300 years. It's a really old town. And at one time it was a beautiful old town, but with the world in the modern times that it is, this is the old part. And unfortunately, most of all those storefronts and businesses are all closed down. They're boarded up, they're empty. They're renovating a few of them, but for the most part, everything's empty and closed up. And it's so sad. Yet, you drive up that hill and you're all into that new part. And I like the old part better. Beautiful churches. Now we're going out for lunch to one of our favorite little restaurants that's only open in the spring and summer, so we don't get to get here very much. And it's called Boki's. And I tell you, it's like going back in time. It's like you're walking into the 50s and 60s. Like you're going to Happy Days. It's hard. I filmed inside, but it's hard to get the true sense of the decor because it was really crowded. And they play all the 50s and 60s music. So the spirit, the ambiance is really fun. and you get free popcorn as much as you want while you wait for your meal. And each table is given a year, like 1962, 1956, and there's all newspaper clippings on your table as to what happened that year. The floor is all painted with sayings and things that happened that through those decades. Now, for the not so healthy meal, I had fried shrimp, a potato salad. My husband had a Michigan burger, and we shared some breaded mushrooms. We only go out to eat about once every 2 months, and we definitely indulged. This is not something, this type of food we eat very often. I actually kind of felt kind of yucky after because we don't eat fried very often, fried foods. But it was really good. And like I said, we don't do it often, so it definitely is a treat when we do it. And we try to get to this restaurant at least twice through the summer because it is only open for a short time. And now we're going to head to Ace Hardware because really the whole main reason for the trip was we did need a new mailbox. Our mailbox was completely broken, and it still was cheaper to buy one here than anywhere around me in Quebec, and even cheaper than on Amazon, even with the exchange. And then our last truck going by, our last stop is to Aldi, and I only needed to pick up a few things here. We could have gone to Walmart, we could have gone into Tractor Supply, but I really didn't need anything in those stores, and it would have just been a temptation to buy things I didn't need and to spend money that didn't need to be spent. So we didn't go there. And here we are driving up to the Canadian border. We're just about home, and it amazes me that I can leave my house and go for a drive, have lunch, go to a couple of shops, and within a couple of hours and a half, be at a whole other country and come back home in such a short time. Every single time, it still kind of freaks me out. So we're just about at the Canadian border, and as you come close to your right at the end, there's this really big building, and on the building there's actually a marking. The building was built before the actual border was completely defined, and half of the building is on the US side and half of the building is on the Canadian side. It's really weird. So here we are at the border, and we can pass through the borders quite easily. The border guards over the years have gotten to know us. They don't just let us go through, but they've gotten to know us. So here we are on the last road before we turn to our homestead. And we'll be there any minute. And when we get home, I'll show you the few things that we ended up buying. So this is all we got. Like I said, it wasn't really a shopping trip, but we mainly went for the mailbox. So we got that at Ace Hardware. We picked up about 3 or 4 butter because they were $3.19 at Aldi, and I pay, which I won't pay, I don't buy it here, $8 a pound at the local grocery store near me. I needed some half and half for coffee. I got some rolled oats. I wanted the old-fashioned oats, and I can't find them around me. I needed some dill weed, some black peppercorn, some baking soda, and some sea salt. And that was pretty much all I got. So it was a fun day. It was good to go out and have a nice drive. And I'm glad you could join me. I hope you enjoyed it too. So until we're together again, take care.